You call it reality, but perhaps what you call reality is only the projection of a collective consciousness, the layer of existence that becomes visible because millions of people agree, consciously or unconsciously, to perceive it in a particular way. Reality itself may be something else. This is where the word mystical becomes unavoidable. Not the words you use to hear after, esoteric, secret, or supernatural. The mystical is simply what is hidden. Hidden does not mean inaccessible. Sometimes it is hidden precisely because it is so obvious that only the one who is searching begins to notice it. And this is where attention becomes something completely different from what modern psychology usually means by the word. Attention is priority. Whatever receives our attention receives a place within us. We're not living in a vacuum, we're units within a field of forces. Everything interacts with everything else. We possess physical existence, mass, movement, force, energy. But we also participate in the fields that cannot be reduced to the simple mechanics of the body. We generate something, we radiate something, and at the same time we are constantly receiving. A distracted person is not simply someone who cannot concentrate. A distracted person is someone whose field has become open to everything. Every conversation enters, every opinion enters, every irritation enters, every piece of gossip, every unnecessary alarm, every emotional reaction of another person, every noise that happens to be louder than the quiet voice within. And gradually, without noticing, they begin to carry energies that were never theirs. There is a beautiful technological metaphor for this. Imagine listening to music through AirPods while standing in a crowded street. There is laughter, traffic, loudspeakers, conversations shouting. The headphones are still playing your music, but the system detects the external noise. It begins to compensate. The outside world becomes part of the listening experience. Something similar happens to the human being when your attention is constantly exposed to external noise. Your inner signal becomes weaker. You begin adjusting yourself to the environment instead of remaining aligned with what is essential. And then you wonder, why am I irritated? Why am I restless? Why am I thinking about things I don't care about? Why am I carrying emotions that don't belong to me? Why does someone else's nonsense remain inside my head for hours? Because you have been listening, not necessarily because you agreed, not necessarily because you wanted to, simply because you were available. This is why I don't think the answer is a battle. The spiritual person does not need to fight the world. There is no war against noise, no need to attack darkness, no need to build an enormous fortress around ourselves. The image I prefer is a shield. A shield does not attack. It simply determines what reaches you. And perhaps this is the deeper meaning of spiritual discipline, not becoming hard, but becoming selective, not closing yourself to life, but becoming so precisely tuned that what is not compatible with your inner frequency simply does not become part of you. The goal is not I must resist everyone, the goal is I know to whom I am listening. Hashem created a world capable of operating according to its own rhythm. The system moves, cycles appear, forces interact, things grow, decay, return and begin again. And yet, the system remains under the supervision of the One. Perhaps this apparent independence is itself part of the design. But that is another question. Here I'm interested in something closer to the human being. If the world has its rhythm, then we also have a rhythm. And if we allow every external rhythm to enter us, eventually we lose our own. So the task is not to control reality, the task is to remain aligned, to create an inner field in which the signal of Hashem is stronger than the noise surrounding us. This is what I mean by a spiritual shield. Not armor against people, not isolation, not superiority, and certainly not fear. A shield is simply alignment. When you are aligned, you don't have to reject everything consciously. Much of it simply stops becoming interesting. You can hear gossip without becoming gossip. You can see vanity without becoming vain. You can encounter anger without making it your anger. You can stand among the noise without allowing noise to become your inner voice. You can be present in the world without belonging to every frequency the world produces. Perhaps this is what it means to reclaim attention. Not to concentrate harder, not to become more productive, but to decide at the deepest level, what am I available to receive? Because attention is not merely where we look, attention is what we permit to enter. And whatever we repeatedly permit to enter eventually participates in creating the field in which we live. So perhaps the real spiritual practice is very simple. Tune yourself. Tune yourself until the unnecessary becomes quiet. Tune yourself until the foreign becomes recognizable as foreign. Tune yourself until you can remain open without becoming vulnerable to every passing influence. Tune yourself until you can hear the world without losing the one whose frequency sustains it. And then the shield is no longer something you carry. You have become the shield.